evidence in body bags. I have evidence in a mass grave.
Show me.
I have just shown it. If you didn't want to see it, what can I do? I show you pictures of the mass grave. Body bags, black body bags.
Yes,
mass grave. 4.5 feet deep.
Yes.
Nowhere to keep the bodies. Are you saying to me?
Yes.
Are you saying these are the? Do I need to show proof after this? I'm showing you the proof. Watch my television channel right now. Inside a church, desecrated. A church inside which there is a mass grave. For God's sake.
Yes.
Alexander Bogdanov. Alexander Bogdanov. Alexander Bogdanov. May I please come in? Alexander, please. Alexander and Peter Zalmaev. Peter wants to say something first. Peter is saying something first. Alexander will respond.
At Russians and blaming that them in genocide. We are in the midst of informational warfare, and everybody knows that nobody can be really neutral in this warfare because impression and analysis are formed by information flows. And you have your team in Irpin and Bucha, and understand. But your team shows only what the Ukrainian side showed them. For example, your team showed us the graveyard around the church. The problem is that this graveyard was created at 10 of March. And the people that are buried, there are people who were killed in crossfire, because this was the location of heavy fight between Russian and Ukrainian troops, and it was shelled first by Russians, then by Ukrainians. So yes, these people are victims of war. But when you are blaming only one side, you are taking this side in information warfare.
No. Alexander, if I may, and Shawan will counter you. I'll just say one thing, and Shawan will counter you. See, Shawan, I'm handing it over to you. Simple point. And Shawan can respond better to this. But please don't tell me crossfire, because during crossfire, you don't tie the hands of people who have been killed with white armbands, tie them behind their back and shoot them at close range. Alexander, Shawan can tell you more. Please, Shawan.
Do you know what
can I
mean or not?
Let me also tell you, Alexander, first of all,
Shawan, go on, please. Shawan, go on.
Our idea of coming to Bucha was to verify. Our idea of coming to Bucha was to verify the claims that the Ukrainians were making. First of all, we were not brought by the Ukrainians. We independently arrived at that spot. We did ask the locals. We did not speak to the Ukrainian army to find out what's really happening on the ground. We spoke to the locals who have returned, who were trying to take whatever belongings that they could. It is they who told us that this is what has happened. Many people have lost their own people. They were searching for the bodies of their loved ones from that very grave. So if you actually tell me that it is the Ukrainians who are telling us what to do, that's absolutely incorrect. Unlike the Western media, we have done everything independently. We have reached the very spot. And let me also tell you, as far as crossfire is concerned, there are several indications of what the Russian troops were actually doing in Irpin and Bucha. There was a point in time that the Ukrainian army was not in a position to even enter. So there is enough evidence to prove that these two places, Irpin and Bucha, was very much under their own control. It was the Russian troops who had these two cities under their own control.
Absolutely, Peter Zalmaev wants to respond. Peter.
Let me speak, please. You two Russian guys have already spoken. And you know what? The fact that they're saying all this just means that it stings the eyes. The truth stings the eyes. They don't want to recognize it because it's too hurtful. Because that would be to recognize that their whole country and their president, Vladimir Putin, are war criminals. And the entire world is seeing that this is a genocidal war waged by one guy who has co-opted his whole country in this ridiculous war that no one knows what the goal of it is. Let me ask after I finish, maybe my colleagues, our friends in Moscow, can respond what the goal of this special operation is. Vladimir Putin promised them it will last a few days. It's now 40 days. And what have we gotten? what is going on? Why are they killing Ukrainians and including Russian speakers and even some ethnic Russians? What for? I suspect, Mr. Nab, that these colleagues of ours in Moscow will regret in a few years, they will see this tape and they will regret very much that they ever took part in this on the side of this genocidal maniac. Everyone has seen it. Human Rights Watch, people, let's not go far. Human Rights Watch is a very conservative human rights organization. They don't throw out things like genocide and war crimes. Very, they have criticized, they have been critical of Israel, for example. They have been very critical of Israel. They do not toe Washington's agenda. And they said there's clear evidence that war crimes have been committed. But you know what? It is like you said, epistemologically, it is impossible to argue with that side because they do not acknowledge facts. If you remember what Sergei Lavrov said a few weeks ago, he said that Russia never invaded Ukraine. So apparently Russia is not even in Ukraine. So these are all ghosts that are fighting there, right? These are not even Russians. Mr. Arnab, it is pointless to argue with these people. Take it from me. It is pointless. The world has seen it for what it is. It's investigating, and these folks will be brought to justice. Whether they die or not, if they live to see justice served or not, the court of history, the judgment of history will be harsh, will be damning, will be everlasting.
I want to